What is my name?
Yes.
Do you want? Is this going to be filmed?
Yeah.
Oh, I see. My name is Catherine Young.
And you are the one who wrote this NCBMRE? The book? Dissertation? You
Yes, I've done a dissertation on it. That was my doctoral dissertation.
Okay. This is a question about Fliptop and balagtasan. So this is the number one question. What is your perception about the old language and new language?
I've only been learning about this since I've met these students, but what I've seen is that language changes in the Philippines, and we're looking at 100 years of difference in language use, whereas balagtasan was from the 1920s onwards and probably developed out of maybe Spanish and other styles of literary use, whereas Fliptop has had so many influences, probably from American culture and hip-hop culture. And so language changes as cultures change, as media influence affects language use.
Number two question. Does the environment affect one's language? How?
Well, just as I said a moment ago, the media and the influences in society like television and immigration and travel impacts the way in which people use language and impacts the way in which people feel that language should be used. And so the influence of probably North American and European music here in the Philippines has influenced Fliptop, whereas I think in the years before the real rise of balagtasan, you had some of the formalities of Spanish cultural style that gave sort of underpinned some of the balagtasan debate. But I also think that politics influences ways in which language is used, and the social climate. And so if people are in a situation where debate and speech making is important to give voice to certain social and political positions, then language arts are going to be influenced by that too.
Okay, number three question. Does the manner of saying affects performance? The manner of saying affects performance.
You mean the way in which the person kind of acts?
Yes.
Yes, because it affects the way in which their voice is perceived by listeners. So I could say something really nasty to you, and I could say it very nicely. And it would take, I could say to, it's like you say to a dog or a cat or something, perhaps. You say, you're really a very nasty dog. But if you say it nicely, it sounds so funny.
Yeah.
It's because certain words and phrases need to be said in certain ways. So the manner of speaking has partly part of the communication style.
Number four question. Is speech as theory appropriate for our study?
Yes, we've been talking about that for 20 minutes. But yes, I think it is, because with Speech Act you're talking about what is the psychological impact of speech and language on relationship and on the perception of the speaker and the listener. And so I really think that it's a critical part of your study.
What do you think is the fastest way to spread the language?
Using it. So my particular interest is multilingual education, and I'm really sad that some languages in the Philippines are dying. And the reason that those languages are dying is because that parents aren't speaking the language to their children, children aren't learning the language, so in 2 generations the language will die. And so it's clear to me that if we want to maintain language, we need to use it. Can you repeat your question?
What do you think is the fastest way to spread the language?
So it's by ensuring that people use the language and they communicate, they spread that language into the second and the third generation. The theorist who talks most about that is a guy called Fishman.
Another question about Fliptop. Do you think Fliptop could be used as a springboard or an exercise academically without profane words?
I see no reason why not. Particularly as it encourages people to be articulate and describe their position, and as you've listed in some of your analysis, the ways in which it's a rhetoric, an activity of rhetoric, it's an activity of persuasion. I think that the part where it may fall down is the logic, illogic, because part of education is to encourage problem solving and logical thinking and critical thinking. But there's a place for creativity and language use. So much modern poetry is not necessarily logic. It's to do with the beauty of using words.
Right. Okay. This is related to Fliptop. Do you think music has a great legacy when it comes to spreading it, and how music affects language?
Well, I see the link between Fliptop and hip hop, and so music influences Fliptop. But the influence between music and language, in some ways music is a very emotional expression of language, and where language may be less emotional, because music might be sort of hyper emotional. Music is a type of poetry. Music is a cultural specific form. You know, it's not true to say that music is a universal language. What may be a mourning song in one culture may sound like a wedding song in another, because culture and music styles are different. So I think music expresses culture through language.
Thank you.
Thank you.